मन
This is episode 27. We have been discussing Slok 33 in chapter 2, which has brought us to a stage where the practical application of Gita in our life. The scriptures talk about so much. Not everything is applicable to everyone, and what is applicable to one at a given stage may not be applicable to the same person later on. And so, sometimes, if we are not aware of the practical application, things remain unused. The theory remains theory. So it is appropriate that we meditate on the application of Gita in our life. We did mention a lot of points in life that are of our great concern to improve our life. We did mention about going inward, without which there is no joy, no peace. We have mentioned time and again that God resides within us. We need to realize that. And yet today when we see we have all the means of communications, particularly the cell phones as we call, or the telephones, we see people increasingly talking more and more. Uh, of course, every application has its good use and bad use, whether it is a talking habit or even eating habit. We notice that teenagers spend so much time in talking. Not only that, even the housewives I have seen in shopping malls with little children hanging around, climbing the escalators, and yet talking on the phone. We wonder, when we are talking about going inward, we need to focus on one activity at a time. And the present day culture is splitting our mind into as many directions because everybody is greedy and wants money from you, and you also want pleasures. So more and more we drive a car and we eat while we are driving, we are listening to music, we are talking to somebody on the side in the car, we pay very little attention. So the entire culture is geared to split our attention rather than focus. And yet we call this modern culture, modern education. I don't know what the universities are teaching or what the business or religion is teaching us, but it certainly is teaching us reverse, going outward rather than going inward. And as we know that even Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within us, God is within us, every saint has said, and the advertisement that we see get connected with whom? All these cell phones and telephone companies and communications keep talking, get connected, get connected. Well, yes, we do need to get connected with God, and to connect with God inside, we don't need even any communication. As a matter of fact, all means of communications are an obstacle to us to realize the peace. Now I realize that we cannot completely cut out in a practical life, but these are the points we must watch, we must think, we must meditate on, if we have at all any sense whether we are going in the right direction, what our experience shows, where do we really stand, which direction we are going. Uh, Talking about food, we are supposed to take good care of our body, even with so much of advanced means, so much of wealth, so much of food. we notice that more and more people are becoming obese, uh, lazy, overweight. The diseases are increasing due to that. If you read the medical journals and the newspapers, it is so unfortunate, and this is what has been warned, that more wealth we have, more lust and greed we run after, instead of becoming happy. I think that we are overburdening ourselves. It's like overweight, carrying extra weight all the time. Similarly, we carry lot of baggage, lot of anxiety, and we lose the innocence of a child to enjoy life. So more gadgets, more this kind of habits and talking has really created a lot of problems. Even our work habits, when we don't work at home, we drive cars, and then we find that our body needs exercise. Then we have to go to exercise places, work like a machine. Rather, we should have been working in gardens, in the house. In ancient times, women used to work in the house, even sometimes on the farm, fetching waters. All these small things were giving us the exercises that we need. Today we don't need that. We overeat, and then we have to go to the exercise halls. It is strange. Our habits, we spoil our health, and then we invent means. Amazingly, when we someday look back, we'll be wondering if we were really wise or discriminating. Eating habit is one of the biggest thing we need to consider. I think one of the best thing Gita is providing us is the practical application of even food. I may want to refer, because we are eating too much junk food and soft drinks, and we have become addicted to these things. Lot of salt and sugar. Soft drinks are creating lot of problems, and yet the consumption is increasing. Our health is being ruined. Lot of money is being spent by the governments and our own insurance companies, our health care companies, and yet we do not think which direction we are going. We are headlong going into the direction of death. So, in this particular concern, food, I think that we really need to re-examine. And one of the beautiful things Gita is telling us, that Gita has divided men, or our nature, or our instincts into three categories. One is an animal man, we call it tamasic. One is a Rajasic man, we call it a man like Ravan or Duryodhan or Rakshasi, what we call, uh, controlled by lust and greed, which is what we normally are. And then one is Sattvic, which is divine nature. Some people do turn away from these bad habits and turn to divine habits, which is what we should be doing. These are the three categories, and therefore everything we do has these three categories. Whether we have a temple, whether we have food, our house, our clothes, and Gita is giving us a lot of guidelines. Like if we are sick, we can measure our temperature. Similarly, by these three measures, we can find out whether we fall into an animal category, or whether we fall into a Rajasic category, or whether we are heading towards divinity, which is what we need to do. And of course, saints are even beyond all the three. They are divine, but they are also above these things. Now I have found that food we are eating is so much ready-made, canned. We hardly find fresh food, even though we have abundance of fresh food. But our convenience, the luxury, and these kind of things, we have lost the habits of even eating fresh food. And so our health is lost. And when the body is not healthy, don't think we can talk about spirituality or any happiness when we are physically sick. So I would like to refer to three sloks just in passing, which is in the 17th chapter. Sloks are from 7 to 9, that describes in short, so that those of you who are sincere and who want to think about the food habits that God has recommended 3000 years ago. Obviously, it was known that we are like children, and even though we are sick, we love to eat chocolate. Even though we are sick, we are still eating a lot of junk food because we don't have time to cook. Again, as we said, mothers are working, they don't have time, and so just the very fact that we are trying to earn money so that we will have better food or better health, we are going in the reverse direction. We don't have time to cook, we don't have time even to eat well. So I would like to read these three sloks for your benefit, that aharaha tu api sarvasya trividaha bhavati priyaha yajna tapa tatha danam tesham bhedam imam shunu. The food that we eat, also the one that we like by each one of us, is of three kinds. Also, sacrifices, austerity, and alms giving, each are also divided into three categories. We will not be talking about all of them right now, but it is amazing that when you donate money, it might be of a three particular propensities. It could be an attitude of an animal, it could be Rajasic, it could be Sattvic. These three terms we'll be using quite often in Gita so that we know where we stand and we know which direction we should move. Because our entire object in studying Gita is to improve our life and turn our life into divinity from whatever stage we may be. Now, the best food or to move towards divinity, these are the qualities: ayuhu, sattva, bala, arogya, sukha, priti, vivardhanaha, rasyaha, snigdaha, stiraha, rudya aharaha, satvika priyaha. The foods which augment vitality, energy, strength, health, cheerfulness, and appetite, which are savory and substantial and agreeable, these are called sattvic food. And if we watch carefully, then we will move into divinity. These are normally fresh foods with a minimum of cooking, and we don't need tons of books to tell us what to eat and what not to eat. If we merely observe that the food should provide us vitality, energy, health, cheerfulness, we won't be sick and spending so much money and time in the bed or in hospital. So this is the most desirable thing. The next thing that most of us do are the Rajasic food. Katva, Amala, Lavana, Ushna, Tikshna, Ruksha, Vidahinaha, Ahara, Rajasa, Sreshta, Dukkha, Shokamaya, Pradaha. The Rajasic people have a love for this kind of food. The foods that are bitter, sour, saline, lot of salt, excessively hot, pungent, dry and burning, and these type of food that hurts even our stomachs, these are Rajasic foods and they are productive of pain, grief and disease. And yet you will notice if you watch your food, most of the time we are eating these kind of foods which are bitter. We eat for taste. Food should never be eaten for taste. It has been said that food should be eaten like medicine, proper, in proper amount, at the right time. It should be digestible, and yet we just are slave to the taste. Even soft drink. Recently, I saw the advertisement: "Follow your thirst." That means follow your taste, and therefore we are slaves of thirst and taste. They should be controlled by us. Instead, they are controlling us. So this is the Rajasic food. And the worst thing is the animal propensity. And this is also very prominent in our life today. We are almost eating like animals. This food that is canned, food that was cooked 2 days ago, we heat and reheat and put in the refrigerator, and then because we don't have time to cook. And I wonder why we are living in the first place if we don't have time to be healthy. It should be, we should question ourselves what we are really doing. Even animals are eating fresh. If you notice lions, they will never eat the food that has been old even 24 hours. He will only eat fresh food. Animals are always eating natural food living in the environment that is natural to them. They are always sattvic as far as they are concerned. It is only human beings that have a problem and hardly anybody eating sattvic food. So let us look at this thing. Yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushitam chayat uchishtam apicha medyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. The food that is stale, tasteless, stinking, cooked overnight, refuse, and impure is the food liked by the tamasic. Now we know that sometimes young people drink from the same glass like milkshake, then the boy and the girl will be drinking from the same glass. That is a refuse, that is impure. We sometimes transmit germs and disease. Sometimes mother drinking the milk that is left over from the child that is not finished in the glass. These habits, we call them love, and it is amazing how foolish man has made his own definitions that is going totally in opposite direction to what we should be really considering according to Gita and all the wisdom and even the health consciousness today that we are finding are slowly realizing that we should be heading towards sattvic food. That is why we are finding health food stores that are trying to cater us organic food. They are fresh food. I think it is a good sign that we are turning towards it. But still, most of us are not very health conscious. Uh, we eat junk food and then we go to health exercise places. I think that things are not jiving, and that is why we are not happy. These are some of the things I would like to point out, because from this you will notice how Gita Shastra is so beautiful, so short, and so much of beautiful advice given to us in a very simple language. Sometimes we are told that Gita is difficult to understand, but I want to point out that Gita is not that difficult. Gita is made for worldly people. Bhagwan knows that we will be like children acting and creating problems for ourselves. So even these small things like food and talks, discipline of the body, these are the things that Lord has advised us. He is telling us that getting connected means getting connected with God, which requires no telephone, no communication. As a matter of fact, less we talk, better chance we will have to connect with peace. That is why we run away in the vacation or sometimes in retreats, so that we have chance to have our inner voice, which is constantly trying to help us. We have no opportunity to hear because so much of loud voices and desires and talks we have going on around us. So I think our life is going totally in the wrong direction. God is telling us to keep quiet as much as possible. As a matter of fact, so little we need to talk, and we don't know how much energy goes in talking. I myself know because of these lectures and these discourses how much energy we lose that. But we must meditate early morning, we must save our energy, because all the energy that God has given us is required for self realization. If we waste even the slightest amount of energy anywhere else, in overtalk or even watching television or eating bad food or running around for money, I think that we are losing all the energy that was required, and that is why we go birth after birth, why we have to take so many births, because we just are not educated. I think that we are the most uneducated civilization that I have noticed. When I think of our ancestors, even my father, who was only five, he was a five grader, but when I now think about his wisdom that he had acquired from saints and from the Gita, and he was a follower of Mahatma Gandhi, we know that so little education as far as bookish is concerned, I think helps us not to go in the reverse direction. And one of our biggest problem is to erase all the learning you have done in the school, because it has nurtured us nothing but pride, vanity, and arrogance. So today sometimes I feel less education we have of this kind, better we will be. But this is a strange thing, I am sure, and you will have to really meditate on that. We have a question apparently here.
When you say birth after birth, can you help me understand how does that works?
The question is when I mention that we are going in the wrong direction, and that's why we have to take several births. Sanatana Dharma and Hindu philosophy does believe that this is not the only life we have, that after we die we will straight away go to heaven. I think that we are, every day we are reborn, we have been told already, even in this life, but even after we abandon this body, we have this mind and all our attitudes, our vices and our virtues go with us, what we call jiva, and then it adopts another body because our vasanas or desires have not left us. And as long as we have desires, God has made a law that He will provide us another instrument to go ahead and work out our desires or our karmas. So our whole purpose in this lila or this life is to work out our karmas, good and bad combined, until someday we can overcome our desires, and therefore we will have no need for karmas, and therefore we will have no need even to acquire the body. Why do we need a car? Because we need to travel. Why do we need a body? Because we have desires. Whether we have good desires or whether mediocre, it is something, whatever desire we may have, we have to acquire the body. So Hindu philosophy does believe that we are a bundle of our karmas. It is not just physical body of flesh that even the animals have, but the inner body that we are talking about is the one that continues to recycle, and until we realize that this is not what we want, then that will be the end, and that will be our real death of desire, and real joy of having realized our self, or whatever we want to call God or peace or bliss. So our life is a continuous life. The child, as soon as the child is born, child knows that in order to survive, what we call survive instinct, mother has no chance to even give the child any education. It is only 6 hours old, and the child knows that it has to have, it must suckle the mother, otherwise it will die. Now, who gives the child this activity, this desire, this knowledge that it has to eat in order to survive? It is from our past life. We carry all the desires and all our certain abilities, what we call sanskars, and it is the sanskars that causes us to continue our life until, as I say, someday we will come to an end. So this life after life is dependent on desires. Just because our body died does not mean we have died. Until our desires dies, we are still a living entity, and we will be continuing our life. So I think we have described uh, our duties. We talked about food habits, excessive talking, excessive running around, excessive anxiety. These are the things that are very much of our concern. And if Gita ji can help us to re-examine our these habits and get connected with wise people, get connected with good scriptures, which doesn't require much investment. As I have said, yeah, I would still recommend that you acquire a copy of Bhagavad Gita, and as we are giving you the references, this would help you to study. I would think that each and every one of you is capable. We can make Gita very simple, because prescriptions are not made to confuse only the pandits and who want to make money and business, talk in a manner that nobody understands because they themselves don't understand. But Gita and Upanishads really have used very simple language. Unfortunately, our ignorance and our teachers who are ignorant have arbitrarily made things difficult, just because we don't sometimes know the language, Sanskrit language. But even if we don't know Sanskrit, we can still learn in our own mother tongue. It is always nice to learn in Sanskrit, which is a most beautiful language. I would never want to discourage, but If we don't know Sanskrit, doesn't mean that we are not capable. And even if you have never gone to school, you can hear this thing and just start practicing. Even if you practice one virtue, all other virtues will follow, and you will have much better life than what we are going through. So, when Sri Krishna Bhagwan is talking about dharma to Arjun, that currently he has to fight, it is the war, and this is the war. Bad eating habit, bad talking, running around for money, not looking after our children or husband or wife's duties that we have described. This is the dharma that we have to reorganize and fight our evil habits. This is what Sri Krishna is telling to Arjuna. It is not just physical war, because we don't all of us have that kind of war to face every day in the battlefield, but life is a battlefield. And every moment we are to struggle against our evil habits that this culture has taught us, the religious cults that are going on, and the things that the corporations have led us into this money making business, and we are losing our life. This is something that we need to re examine. If we do this, we will find that there will be very few people who will remain hungry in this world or would suffer or disease, because most of the disease we have created out of ignorance by bad habits of eating, talking, or anxiety and tensions of the mind. So these are the enemies that we have in the early discourses. We enumerated some of the vices and virtues. We are again saying the same thing here. We need to re-examine, and if you really care for your own life and the examining purpose of your life, here you have an opportunity. Every one of us, as I say, has an opportunity at a given stage, no matter what our past and how old we may be, we can still make an improvement, and our intention and attitude alone will help us a great deal. God always examines our intention. If our intention is pure, I think that we will be already on the path of sattvic life or divine life. So, looking at slok 33, which we have already mentioned, and in trying to coming back to tie it up, what Lord says, Atha chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tataha swadharmam kirtim chaitva papam avapsasi. If you do not perform your duties, which is this war against evil habits, if you don't fight against your evil habits, then you would have given up your manhood. This beautiful birth of human being that is given to you, and your swadharma to realize God or to go inward to find peace, you would have lost that. You would have lost the animals even will laugh at a human being that what kind of creature this is, that he is ruining the environment while animals themselves are maintaining the environment. So Lord says that if you don't fight against these evil propensities, then you will be incurring sin. So not to eat properly is sin. Over talking is sin. Sin is not something that is normally described to us, but not taking care of our human life, not turning towards divinity, not turning towards realizing God in itself is sin. This is what God is saying when God is telling Arjun that you must fight. This is the vices that you are fighting in the name of Duryodhan. We are not talking about physical fight as much as the inner fight that Lord is trying to point out here. With this connection then with Arjun, and as I have said before that we are Arjun, and how does this war applies to us? I am trying to put ourselves in the middle of this battle of vices and virtues, Kauravas and Pandavas, as we have spoken. This is what Lord is saying, that we will be incurring sin if we don't listen to God and if we don't practice what He is trying to say. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.